We've looked at a few of the options with regards to formatting text, but let's have a close look at what's on the Home tab and what's in the font group. I might start with slide 1, so in my slide pane I'll click on slide 1. I might then click on the title, and particularly the frame around the outside of the title, so I've got the title placeholder selected. We can look at the font simply by going to the font group and hitting the drop down on the font button. As I roll down over the fonts, I can see a live preview of what all the different fonts look like. And I can easily choose a font from the collection of fonts available. Make sure that you choose a font that's easy to see, and make sure that you don't choose too many fonts, which can be really confusing. So I'm going to choose this font here. You've also got font size. If I hit the drop down, I can roll down the numbers, and the smaller the number, the smaller the writing, and the larger the number, the larger the writing. Now, just because a font size is not listed here doesn't mean you can't type it. So for example, I might decide I want 75, so I'll type 75. When I press enter, that's exactly the font size I'm given. But if I want to work more visually, I've got two buttons here which allow me to grow, and this one allows me to shrink. I'm just going to go into File and into Options, and I just want to check that it's actually showing me screen tips. It is showing me screen tips, so it must be just this video that when I'm resting on buttons it's not actually telling me what they do, but yours should be telling you. If I click this button, each time I click it, I'll reduce the font size visually. This one here, each time I click it, I'll grow the font size visually. So I'll make it shrink or grow until such time as it's on one line. Then you have options like bold. If I click the B, I'll turn the bold on, and if I click it again, I'll turn the bold off. And because I have the placeholder selected, all the text is being affected in that placeholder. If I wanted to be just affecting one word, then I would select one word. And double clicking is a quick way to select just a word. If I wanted to make that word italics, I would hit the I. If I wanted to make it underlined, I'd click the U button, and that would underline it or not. If I wanted to apply shadow, I'd hit this S button, and that applies a shadow to that particular word or whatever you've got selected. If I was to hit the strike through, a line would appear through the middle of that word, which is me basically saying I would like that word struck off. Now I'd like to change this word back to look like the other ones. So I'm going to double click Make. I'm going to go for my Format Painter, which is underneath Cut and Copy. I'll click my Format Painter and I'll double click Money. And I've just applied that format onto that word. So the Format Painter is very useful to copy the formatting from one place and apply it to another. I might decide that I'd like to click the placeholder so that everything is affected, and I might decide that I want to change the character spacing, and that's this button with the AV. I can make the character spacing tight, or I can make it very tight, which crunches it up, or I could make it very loose. As you roll over them, you can see very loose, loose, normal, tight, and very tight are options, so I might make it very tight. You can also change the case. You can change the case to uppercase, lowercase, sentence case, which is just a capital H, or capitalize each word. Or if I capitalize each word and then choose toggle case, it'll make the capitals lowercase and the lowercase capitals, which can look quite funky in the right context. But I'm just going to go back to capitalize each word. You can also change the font simply by hitting the drop down here and choosing a font. Now the color palette or the colors that you see in the font button depend on the theme that you chose. So I chose Wisp and I chose a variant and I applied a color palette that was green yellow, and so I very much got these types of colors. So if you don't like any of these colors, go into more colors. And if you go into more colors, you'll then encounter this window, which will allow you to choose all sorts of colors if you're not happy with the theme colors. But I'm just going to choose a dark green in my theme. Now you can also format any text. So I could go to my subtitle and I could format that as well. I could then go to the next slide and format the text as well. So those are the options in your font group. If you want to declare the formatting, I would select the placeholder and I would hit this button. And that will clear all the formatting and take it back to exactly how it was before. Or I could click undo and keep it the way I formatted it. If you need a font option that's not immediately apparent in this font group, you have got to the bottom right corner what they call the font dialog box launcher. When I click the font dialog box launcher, I will actually launch this option here. Perhaps you want double strike through, which is not a button on the ribbon, so you can choose double strike through in here. Perhaps you want superscript or subscript, or you want to equalize the character height. Let's just choose this option, equalize character height, and OK. And see how the height of each character has now all an equal height. So there are options you may wish to explore under the font dialog box launcher. These include character spacing and these include font attributes. So have a look in there. Now we do need to save our presentation as well. So I'm going to click the Save button, which is on my Quick Access toolbar, and I'm going to Browse, and I'll choose the desktop, and I'll just keep the title How to Make Money Quick, and I'll save. And in the title bar at the very top of my screen, I can clearly see the name of the presentation.